Hi, so we are doing a setup for iTheory.com.au, just showing how to do the admin setup for a school if you want to get into it. So, first thing I'm going to do is open up Google Chrome and go to iTheory.com.au. You could use other browsers, but we've tested it mainly on Google Chrome, so I'd suggest getting that if you want it to work nice and smoothly. Now we're going to register as a school. If you can see down here, it says if you're registering as a school, click here. So here I go. And this looks a lot like our friend Facebook, but with a school name up here. So my school version 2. This would be little, and this would be Tim, not time. And we'll call this little Tim at myschool.com, and password is, can't tell you that. What if I got that right? I did, and I'm into the admin part of the site. And you can see there's a few settings in here, but we'll go through those in a moment. We're just going to do a real basic setup first. So now I want to try and join to Little Tim's school. So as a student, so I'm going to go to this button here, which is the app. So I can see the sort of student side of this now. Now a student's got two options here. They can either go down to the menu here, so they can jump on that and go to settings, or they can just click on their name and that takes them straight to their settings. So you can see I am Little Tim and I'm not part of a school. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to join my own school, Little Tim at, what did I say it was, myschool.com. And look, there's Little Tim's class. I'm going to click on that. I've joined that class. That's great. Just going to save that. And if I go and have a look at that, I'm part of Little Tim's class. So that's the basic setup done. That's really, that's it. Now, most likely you're going to want to make some more advanced classes and teachers. So I'm going to come back to the school admin and in the top right hand corner and let that come back to this admin part of the site. And I'm going to go to admin or school settings. Now you can see here that under teachers I've got Little Tim, and under classes Little Tim's class, and students I've joined my own class. Now ideally you're going to want to do another teacher, so I'm going to here add another teacher. Let's going to call this guy Mr. Bob at myschool.com. And you can see he's in there now. You just need the email for your teacher. I'll explain that in a second. And I'm going to add a class, and we're going to call this Mr. Bob's. Oh, we don't need a class. Mr. Bob's. And I'm going to make Mr. Bob the teacher. Going to save that. And you can see in students here how Little Tim is in our big student list. And with Little Tim here, I could go and kick him out of my class, and I can edit his settings. So you might need this one. In fact, you will need this one because people, or students especially, sometimes forget their email login or their password, so you can reset their password in here. It's a good idea to get them to write it down, I've found. You can also add more people as facilitators if you want to. You might want to think about whether that's a good idea or not. So that's that. I'm just going to log out and show you what to do as a teacher now, because you can see here Mr. Bob has got an email but he has no login name. That's because he hasn't actually logged in as a person yet. So if we come back out to here and I log in as a teacher this time, my name is Mr. Bob and my email address is, or I hope I got this right, Mr. Bob at myschool.com, and let's call him Mr. Bob 1. Mr. Bob 1. You can see there's a few warnings in here. You can only do this if you've already set up the school. And now automatically Mr. Bob has become part of my school. So we've kind of done this in case there's teachers who are not too tech savvy. So all a teacher really has to do is put their email in and make up a name for themselves. And that is pretty much it. Mr. Bob can come in here and he can look at tests and training and that kind of stuff. At the moment he's going to have no students to join his class. But if I was to log out here, just let it think, and then come back in as little Tim again at my, let's spell that right, .com. I can't remember the password. I think it's that. It was. Great. And yeah, I told you to save that. Yep. And we can look back here in admin. You can see Mr. Bob's now got a name. He's a real person. And there's Mr. Bob and there's the students, blah, blah, blah. And if I were to jump back as a student, I can now join Mr. Bob's class too. It's probably not actually very realistic. I don't know why you'd want to join two classes, but you could if you wanted to. Mr. Bob at myschool.com. There we go, and there's Mr. Bob's. And now I'm part of Mr. Bob's class as well. So I'm going to go back to the school admin. Now you can see in here, in tests, you can see results of tests. In the training, you can see the results and the rank of the training of your students. And I'll just show you the test one here. I haven't actually created any tests yet, but if I click here to create a test, you can see next to these tests are the difficulty level. So you can see this is quite difficult, number 12, and some of them will be right up there. So probably don't want to give them level 19. But if I just want to do a spot test on note names, I'm going to drag that over. Maybe I'll do 10 questions or whatever that's going to add itself up to. 7, 14. It's too long. Bob's test. I don't know, should I put a description? Bob's test. Save. And you can see Bob's test, and if anyone had done it, you would see the results of all your students. And if I go back to the app, because I'm in Bob's class, I should be able to see Bob's test. And there it is. And that's pretty much everything you need to know. The only tip and trick that I would say is when you get your students to register, so if I just come right back out here, and quit. So so a student just registers in this normal part, which I think is fairly obvious. I would make sure they put something sensible for an email address if they don't have one. They can just make up an email address if they want. There's no real problem there. The only thing is it has to be unique. So if it's a real email address, it'll be unique already. So the idea is that they use a real email address so two people can't be the same person. And I found that you really want to get the kids to write down their email address and their password so that they can log on up here, because they often forget it. And also make sure when they log in and they come back that they put their email in and not just their name. And that is the end of that.